Hey everyone, my name is Jordan Kobotahi, and joining us today for our podcast is Christian Masters. Me and Christian both live in Hawaii, and we notice homelessness everywhere.
Yeah, Jordan. The scary thing about that is that we have one of the worst homeless epidemics in the country as of right now, with the highest rate of homelessness per capita in the nation. There's also an estimated 15,000 homeless individuals living in Hawaii.
Wow, those are some big numbers. That always got me thinking, why is homelessness such a big problem in Hawaii?
Jordan, that's a very great question. I believe that those certain people are the ones who struggle to get by, mainly because of the cost of living, the minimum wage, and other causes of homelessness that you and me can further discuss in this podcast.
Okay, sounds good. So, Christian, to start off, what do you think about the cost of homes in Hawaii?
I think that the cost of homes is very expensive in Hawaii. In most cases, people have to work numerous jobs just to pay their rent or even to buy a house. The average cost of rent in Hawaii is a whopping 2,413 a month. Along with that, the prices of rent varies from the amount of bedrooms you own. One bedroom is 1,405, two bedrooms is 1,798, three bedrooms is 2,480, and four bedrooms is a crazy 2,861.
That is way too overpriced to buy a home. I have a friend who is really struggling because of rent. His father works two jobs and his mother passed away sadly. My friend told me that his father barely even comes home some nights because he works nonstop. But still, his father can barely even afford to pay rent and support his family with the hard earned money he makes. From my perspective and my friend's experience, life in Hawaii is very complicated for those who can make ends meet. As shown, no matter the amount of work, blood, sweat, and tears you put in, some still can't afford to live a comfortable lifestyle because Hawaii is just too expensive.
Wow, thanks for sharing that to me about your friend.
Yeah, no problem. Talking about buying houses, do you know how much money it costs to buy a home in Hawaii?
Well, a typical home value of a single family home in Hawaii is 795,879. But nowadays, homes are rapidly increasing in value. According to Hawaii News Now, the median price of a single family home in Oahu hit a new record high of 1,050,000 in August, which is 25% higher than the same month last year. As the prices for single family homes grow, the value of a condo also increases, with a median price of 500,000. That's up 16% from a year ago.
That's crazy. I can't believe how high the cost of homes are getting. I heard you can buy a mansion for $500,000 in the mainland, but over here in Hawaii, you can only get a small condo for that price. Good thing my parents bought their house back in the day because it was way cheaper back then.
Yeah, same with my parents too. They also bought their house cheaper before it started going up. Houses aren't the only thing going up. Food prices are also on the rise. What do you think about the food prices in Hawaii?
Prices of food and products supplied in Hawaii are more expensive than in the mainland. Since we're surrounded by water in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, nearly everything we consume and own has to be shipped here or flown. This means the prices of the products have a massive increase in value because there is a tax and a shipping fee when purchased. For example, the cost of goods such as eggs, bread, and milk in Hawaii. Study shows the average market price for milk in Hawaii is totaled at $6.72, while in the mainland it is priced at $3.32, which is much more affordable. Overall, due to the overly priced products, it is very difficult for people to afford their needs and wants in such an expensive place.
Yeah, it's just too much for some people. That's the reason why I always see homeless people hanging around fast food places like McDonald's, Taco Bell, Jack in the Box, and many others. They just can't afford to buy healthy foods at grocery stores because the prices are more expensive than fast food.
I agree with you on that. Fast food is a cheaper alternative to groceries. Although the cost of living is a big factor to homelessness in Hawaii, another big factor is the minimum wage. Christian, what do you think about the minimum wage?
I think Hawaii's minimum wage is terrible, and with prices rising in food, gas, and necessities of living, the minimum wage just wouldn't cover it. According to the Hawaii Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism Self-Sufficiency Income Standards, an average resident in Hawaii would have to make 17.63 per hour to enjoy a living wage. This covers expenses like housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and other expenses.
I don't know how people even survive working at fast food restaurants and other low paying jobs. I personally think that they should raise the minimum wage to at least $20 an hour. It would really help many of those who are struggling to make ends meet.
What about the minimum wage for rent? What do you think about that?
Hawaii's minimum wage comes out to $10.10, which is only $20,200 per year. While this is higher than the federal minimum wage of $7.25, it isn't nearly enough to be considered livable. The average monthly rent in Honolulu is $2,257 per month. Financial advisors recommend we spend no more than 30% of our monthly income on rent. The $10.10 minimum wage is $1,616 per month. This makes it impossible for someone earning the bare minimum wage to rent an apartment, much less cover their other living expenses.
No wonder why homeless people don't want to get a job. The minimum wage couldn't afford their rent. This is why we see homeless begging for money. They probably make more by begging than working on some days.
I know, Christian, and for home prices, 82% of homes in Hawaii cost more than $357,000 above the national average. The median Hawaiian home value is estimated at $672,000. This makes it difficult for someone receiving the minimum wage pay to buy a house.
It's so sad though, Jordan, because as we know, many of our local people are forced to move away from their home because of the wage, leaving the place that they grew up in because they just can't get a good paying job. Minimum wage and cost of living aren't the only causes of homelessness in Hawaii, Jordan. There are many other different reasons of homelessness that most don't realize. One of those reasons is because of domestic abuse and violence. This forces those victims to leave their homes. This could be abusive relationships, abusive families, or someone else that's close to us. While they get relief from the abuse, they find themselves on the streets with no option of returning home, ending up spending a long time without a decent home.
That makes me sad to know that some homeless individuals are going through that. I know that leaving your home, the place you feel safe, can be scary because it's very dangerous out there and cold at night.
Yeah, Jordan. My auntie went through abuse from her boyfriend back in the day and went to live on the streets because she was too scared of coming back. When my family went to pick her up, she was all covered in bruises. She told us that he was angry at her, throwing punches when they would argue. Sometimes he would even get too drunk, abusing her for no reason. But now she's doing much better with a loving husband and 2 kids.
Wow, your auntie must be one tough lady.
Yeah, Jordan, she is. While talking about other reasons of homelessness, do you know any other reasons?
Yeah, Christian, I do. Another reason for homelessness is drug abuse and alcoholism. Now, these individuals are not like the last example. They don't leave their house. They get kicked out by family members because the addiction makes it unbearable for family members to live with. These individuals spend a lot of money on drugs, which leaves little behind for rent and mortgage. Thus, their addiction problems will continue without a roof over their head.
That's terrible just to know that they choose drugs over their own family or even a roof over their head.
Yeah, I know, Christian. The addiction got the best of them.
To finish off the reasons, mental and physical illness play a big factor in homelessness because their family just can't bear them or they can't afford treatment for them. These individuals are also left with no other option but to live on the streets.
That's so sad that they have no option but to live on the streets. They even have an illness that they can't control, which makes it even harder for them.
Talking about many of these problems, we can see that homelessness in Hawaii and the cost of living is a major thing.
If we want Hawaii to be a better place like paradise, we need to get the homeless people off the streets and into living a life that's suitable. Start by raising the minimum wage so that they can live a livable life and afford the things that keep going up in price in the cost of living.
Adding on to that, making housing cheaper can also help those who are struggling to live a more easier life.
Finally, give support to those who need it. Like government help to pay off the bills and support those with mental illness and those who are affected by abuse.
If we don't do something now, our future generations can't enjoy the things of Hawaii, like the beaches and parks, because it will all be filled with homelessness, making Hawaii not paradise anymore.
To anyone listening to this, I hope this will encourage you to make a change. Thank you
Thank you for
for
listening
listening
to our
to our
podcast.
podcast. Christian
Christian and
and
Jordan
Jordan
signing
signing
off.
off.